G'day everyone, I'm Smokescreen and welcome back to another video, and here we go with another Sainte-Croix video from this week of daily races. Here, Daily Race C. Of course, if you haven't seen the previous video already, I do urge you to check that one out. We're doing 4 days of Sainte-Croix. We're on day 2 here with the second video here. We've got another 20 or so minutes of Smokescreen Sainte-Croix action, or Sainte-Croix, more correctly pronounced. We stay with the Lamborghini for the entirety of this week here. I did not want to sort of try those FF cars. I've never driven them before, and I feel like they would take quite a bit of getting used to with all that understeer, and I hate understeer basically, so I went for the safer choice of the Lamborghini Huracan, or Huracan, I guess, if that would be the correct pronunciation there. But we put it on third position in this race here, so third place on the grid, behind an Audi TT up in the lead rather, and a Renault Megane Trophy in second. So that's a bit of an oddball choice, if I'm honest. A Renault Megane, the straight line speed of that car is not great, so pretty much it's going to struggle to gain in slipstream. Essentially is what that car's all about. More of a handling car. That Renault is. You can see how wide that Audi is out onto the grass, almost clattered into that Michelin board coming through turn 4 there. Very, very treacherous run through there. They run side by side through turn 6, and then the Renault has the inside for turn 7. The Audi was almost looking for a cutback into turn 8, but we're breaking into turn 9 now. Dive down the inside of the Audi there. Side by side, I have to give him space on the exit, nice and tight towards that apex. Give him a car's width, or more than a car's width, on the exit there. Thankfully, the Renault moves over to the left-hand side and gives me a small toe, which is nice of him to do. We are actually out of slipstream range, however, so yes, completely ignore what I just called there. But you can see that Audi is pulling alongside, but as it hits its top speed up in 6th gear, the Lamborghini has that extra 7th gear just there, and we can continue to accelerate, and the poor top end of that Renault means that it falls back within slipstream range, and I'm able to get a massive toe heading up the end, sort of the second half of the straight there. However, we run a little bit wide through turn 10, I get a little bit of a tag, oversteer, a little bit of contact from another car behind, another Audi TT, and then the pole sitter, the blue Audi, makes his way past, cut back ahead, and the Audi doesn't give much space there, and he clatters into the side of the sort of the start end of the barrier on the bridge there. That's a pretty blatant wipeout there, so that's quite funny. I was laughing out loud when I saw that there when that happened. But this sort of little bit of fighting has just allowed that Renault to pull away a little bit, but I hope we can sort of catch that back up, as that Renault is probably not the best car for this circuit. You definitely want a car that's good in a straight line and good around the corners. The Renault is good in the corners, but there's not enough of them consecutively on this track here in order for that car to get a good gain. So a good gauge of that is going to be the red gap to the leader number that's next to my name on the leaderboard on the left hand side of your screen. It's currently sitting about 2 seconds, but we're just sitting in the dirty air a little bit of this Audi TT. So of course in Group 4, dirty air is not so much of an issue, but it will cause a little bit of extra understeer. It's going to be hardly noticeable in terms of how you drive, but you'll probably just, you know, drop a few tenths every corner or so. So you can just see there, that Audi gets a poor exit, touch the back of him, and we saw from the last video, a 2-second penalty for that. Didn't even do anything. Nothing even happened. I helped the guy, if anything. I lost speed. So that's the stupidity we're dealing with today. So basically, do not touch the back of another car. You'll get a pretty severe penalty for wanting to touch the rear end of other players. That doesn't sound too dirty. But thankfully we serve this at the, I guess, the lesser of two evils in terms of the penalty gates. The one on the shorter of the two straights here. But we're going to be slow heading into this corner here, right on the sort of the right-hand most side of the circuit, and still get completely smashed into the back of. Thanks to that extra speed, end up going completely deep, and you can see that BMW makes his way past, capitalising on the fact that both myself and Woody ahead crashed. Another BMW around the outside of the final turn here at Sainte-Croix C, and you can see he gets a good run down the straight, ducks into the slipstream of the Audi TT there, and we're going to get that toe into turn 1. We're going to have to be careful in terms of braking as well, so we're going to have to brake slightly earlier. We brake sort of pretty similar to what we normally do, actually, but we managed to get through nicely. Just touch him there, just a slight touch on the back bumper and get absolutely handed a 1 second penalty for nothing. There was hardly any contact. It's not a penalty game. This is so frustrating. I discussed in the previous video how that there are, you know, we give the company money, and this is what we're given to race with. It's impossible to race with this stupid penalty system. So you can see I'm going to now serve this 1 second penalty on the 1.8 kilometer long straight. So that's going to kind of ruin this race in terms of the race win. So that Renault, while it's not a car for this circuit, essentially, by keeping its nose clean, it's actually going to be not a bad choice, as it turns out. He's well into the lead at this point, 10 seconds ahead of me. Have a look on the mini-map, top right of your screen. The first sort of blue marker is quite a fair margin ahead of the guy in second, so he's not giving any slipstream to the guy in second. So as long as he can keep his average speed up through the corners, he's going to be a fairly comparable pace and could potentially even win the race. But we've now got people catching up behind me thanks to that penalty. They just got into slipstream range by the end of that straight, as it just went below 6/10. But as we head through turn 10, round the corner to see, I think that Audi crashed into the barrier on the right hand side as it's lost a load of time. And I think we're going to catch up to this group again, which is going to be good for us. I don't want to settle for 6th. I know that there's better positions available, and I know I'm quicker than the guys sort of at the back of the field here. I've no idea what split this is, but I was well and truly a front runner in this you know, strength of lobby here, coming into turn 12 here. Just had to look on my notes. There's so many corners, it's hard to remember which ones are what. One of the BMWs went slightly deep into turn 12. I'm catching up as we head up the hill here, and we're going to try and get a move done in the sort of twisty section. It's not really that twisty, it's just got quite a, in terms of the rest of the circuit, a lot of the corners, a good proportion of the corners coming up in the next sector or so. So BMW is slow. We're in that slipstream. He's very wide through 17, touches that grass on the exit of 17, and we go for the move up the inside of turn 18. Nice clear cut down the inside, textbook move, and you can see we can see third ahead. So I think the podium paying position of third is going to be a good goal for this race here. So this actually, by the way, is the only race in this video that was good enough to kind of show on its own. So back to the race, you can see the Audi TT 2.4 seconds ahead. I know I'm quicker than him as we come through turn 21 at this point here. 2.4 still, just dips below 2.4 as we head through the hairpin of turn 22 here. On the exit, it goes to 2.2 seconds, so we are gaining on this Audi TT. I think he does have a toe from the guy in third, as that gap is now increasing as we head onto the straight. I do not have a toe, of course, do not have any slipstream to drive sort of to get more speed down the straights, but the only thing I can hope for is that the two up ahead might start fighting if they catch up to each other, or if the Audi catches up to the back of Eddie there. Not quite sure what flag that is, but you can see he actually does get past. They're side by side as they head through the final turn on the main straight. However, that Audi TT is going to have the better straight line speed compared to I think the BMW that Eddie is driving there. A couple of pit stops occurring behind, but not up for us just yet. Nobody ahead of us goes in either, so we're all on medium tyres then, that tells me. And let's have a look as we head through the opening sector. The gap is about 2 seconds at this point. Side by side they were. Eddie was looking up the inside of turn 2, not the place to go, and you can see that Audi TT wide out onto the grass. He's going to lose so much time there, and he falls in behind the BMW that Eddie is driving as we head through. As we head through turn 4 now, we're catching up very quickly to the back of this Audi TT. I'll get a little bit of oversteer there, just correct it and don't bin it, thankfully, as we head through turn 6. Get through there nice and smoothly. We're coming up to the back of the Audi, don't want to touch him, don't want to make any contact with the Audi at this point, as that will hand me a very swift penalty that I will need to serve halfway down this straight. Dive down the inside, a little bit of contact, side to side contact I think between us, but I was well up the inside, and thankfully I don't actually get a penalty for that contact for some reason. If anything, that was more of a penalty than the incidents that I got a penalty for. But that aside, let's focus on the Audi TT. He's in my slipstream at this point here. He's going to be gaining, pulling up alongside. We're about 1.3 seconds behind the car up ahead, so there's going to be no slipstream effects on either of us here, and you can see that when the Audi pulled out for the move, he just ran out of steam. He wasn't able to sort of carry the momentum to get ahead of me. He goes quite deep into turn 10, touches the back of me a little bit. I run wide, understeer wide a little bit. He does make his way side by side, but he's on the outside for the following turn of turn 11 here, and he's going to try and look around the outside. Contact once again between us, side-to-side contact between us, but I was well up the inside. That was fair game in my eyes here. Now, a acceleration zone from mid-speed. The Audi is going to have very good acceleration here. It's also the inside for turn 12, so the only thing I can cross my fingers for is that he might go deep into this corner here. We hit our mark nicely, get into that apex. The Audi TT may be slightly deep, but nothing to really grasp to in order to get a move done as we head up the hill. Audi might understeer a little bit, but we managed to get up the hill, still behind the Audi. So coming into the twisty section with a lot of the corners of the circuit here, we're just going to be trying to get past this Audi. I know I'm faster than the guy. I know I can get past just as long as he doesn't have an opportunity to slipstream back past me. So that's why this section is quite good for overtaking. You can see he's wide through 17. We're going to put on a repeat move we did to another BMW, I think, of Shane Knock V8R earlier in the race, up the inside of turn 18 after they went wide at 17. Nice textbook move and only a short length straight. Not much opportunity for a re-overtake thanks to slipstream, followed by two left-handers, the second of which very understeery and is going to prove to be very difficult for an FF car to navigate. And he drops back to about 5/10 behind, so that is what we needed. Another understeery right-hander, and we get through there nicely. The Audi TT is going to suffer on the exit as it does. It almost drops. It actually does drop out of slipstream range at that point there, nearly 7.5 tenths at that point there, and he actually hits the barrier on the exit of turn 22. That's going to be excellent for us. He's well out of slipstream range. He's still going to gain on the exit of the corner there, and you can see he's actually gained and clawed his way back into slipstream thanks to that superior acceleration of the Audi. He's now got my slipstream as we head down the straight, but it's not close enough to go for a move into turn 23, so he is going to be able to stay behind at this point. He's going to get a little bit of understeer as we exit turn 23 there, and once again he's going to drop out of slipstream range. So end of lap 3, do we go in for the pit stop or do we stay out an extra lap here? I'd take it into the pits. We're going to go into the hard tyre there. Let's see where we come out. And somebody came into the pits. The Audi TT, 3 laps on the hard tyre. That is a strange strategy, man. That's a very, very weird strategy that Audi. So I said earlier in the race that I thought everybody was on medium tyres, but clearly not the case. That Audi TT was on hard tyres the entire time. A bit of a strange thing to do is the medium tyres can comfortably last 3 laps. It's when you go into 4 laps that you're going to start to struggle, but it can comfortably do 3 laps. Anyway, so at this point here, we are now on the slower tyre compared to the Audi behind. It's going to be interesting to see if he can keep pace with me as we head through this race here. You can have a look down on the radar and keep tabs on the gap between us there. So he's going to have slipstream as we head down this straight again. Quite a frustrating turn of events there, if only he was on the actual correct tyre compound at the start of the race. So that would be why I felt as though I was faster than him, as I legitimately was faster. I literally had more grip in my car. See, we bring it down for a very, very late apex, get a nice straight exit. We gain quite a hefty margin of time on the exit of that corner there, but he does have the slipstream to about 3/10 back. It's a very good range for slingshotting his way past. I positioned my car to the inside to run defensive. You can see the Audi TT has pulled out of the slipstream, lost all of the momentum. He ducks back into the slipstream momentarily and back to out of the slipstream, but is not able to get that move past. He should have stayed into the slipstream until he got right up to the back of me and then gone for that move. But I understeer heading through turn 10 and he completely cuts me back. Very, very good move there. Fair play. That is fair game. Going through turn 10 there. I was understeering wide. He completely capitalised and caught me napping there. That is fair enough. And I can't knock a good move. So the tables have now turned. I've got to try and stay in the slipstream of this Audi, who I know is now on medium tyres and therefore is probably quite significantly faster than me at this point in the race. He literally has more grip than me, so he has more, essentially the car, he can let the car do more work, and you can see it quite clearly does that. As we headed through turn 12 there, the gap has opened up to 9/10, so we're well out of slipstream range at this point here. It's going to be interesting to see whether we can claw back as the tyres go off, or whether or not we're going to be stuck in a downward spiral of growing lap times thanks to our hard tyres wearing out. So the race has turned very interesting. Essentially a race between two tyre compounds, between two different drivers that are fairly similar pace. We have to remember that too, that Audi TT put it on pole position, so he is going to be faster than me. I don't know what his time was. I know I could definitely do a 3:42 lap time, but I sat at a 3:43. But he's actually caught up to the back of Shaynock again, who I assume didn't pit, which is why he's now ahead of us. He was behind us earlier. He's now caught up to the back of Shaynock there. I would assume he's going into the pits at the end of this lap. There's a little bit of lag between the three of us, actually. As we head into turn 22, Shaynock goes for the move, completely cuts across the front of the Audi in the braking zone. Big no-no, a little bit of a questionable driving manoeuvre from that BMW there. And now I know that they're going to go ham at each other, as that Audi is not going to be happy about that move there. So you can see that Audi following that BMW religiously, pulls out of the slipstream as he has the superior acceleration. I reckon he's going to try and go around the outside, and then the BMW is going to try and outbrake into turn 23, into the braking zone there. The Audi goes around the outside in a fair move there, and then the BMW actually just avoids touching the wall there. So they actually raced fairly clean, to be fair to them. But I think this BMW is going to go into the pit lane. We'll see what he does. Now, he actually stays out. Okay, so I'm completely wrong. Not sure what the BMW is doing then, but therefore I now have to race this BMW, which I kind of didn't want to do. Coming into turn 1, I actually go slightly deep here. I do touch the apex, but way too early, and the BMW completely cuts me back in a similar move to the Audi. So some very good moves being shown by these two drivers up ahead, and actually, all in all, the race has actually been fairly clean. There was that slightly dodgy movement by the BMW on the Audi into turn 22 of the previous lap. But aside from that, it's actually been a fairly clean race. So this BMW might have actually gone for a no-stop, as I can tell he's very slow at this point in the race there, running extremely wide, coming through turn 4 there, and he takes actually a nice line through turn 6 there and gains on the exit there. So I'm actually not sure at all what this BMW is doing. He may have pitted earlier in the race. I thought he might have been slow, but he manages to get his butt into gear on the sort of final part of the opening sector of this lap here. But we're now going to be in the slipstream of the BMW, and we're going to see the grunt that this Lamborghini has. So it's going to be up against an FR car, not an FF, which has OP top speed. Going to be against a car that's going to have fairly comparable top speed. That BMW as well also has 7 gears, but you can see we just slowly edge our way ahead of the BMW, and we do that sort of late enough in the straight that the slipstream effect is not going to be as prominent to the BMW in order to get a re-overtake done on me. So we take a nice tight line through turn 10. We learnt from getting the switchback, undercut, overcut, whatever you want to call it, the cutback move from the Audi of the previous lap. We kept it tight through turn 10. We were able to keep that position through there from the BMW, as I assume he would have wanted to go for the same move that the Audi did. He's going to have my slipstream heading across the bridge. You can see we're 2.2 seconds up on our personal best at this point here, which obviously goes to show the strength of that slipstream down the straight, and the fact that we just had a clean run through the opening stages of this lap here. The exit of turn 12, the BMW must have gone deep, as the gap has opened up to nearly 8 tenths at this point here, and that is out of slipstream range. I think I'm faster than the BMW driver, or I think I will be, because he qualified much further down the grid than I did. But yes, you can see I managed to open up the gap to 3.5 seconds, and I was not able to catch Woody Goody, because he was on the medium tyre at the closing stages of that race. And actually, the McGann Trophy, 1 minute penalty. He failed to do his pit stops correctly, so he absolutely threw away a victory in the McGann Trophy there. I did not quite see the gap at the start of the race, or the gap, between first and second. If it was over 7 seconds, he definitely would have been able to pit and stay ahead. But that's quite unfortunate for that Renault driver. I was kind of bagging him out at the start for choosing a lesser car, but he managed to bring it across the line in first, but either forgot to pit or selected the wrong tyre compound in his pit stop and brought it with a 1 minute penalty. So that's the penalty for not choosing the hard tyres in this race. But I do hope you enjoyed. Hit that like button if you did, and do subscribe if you'd like to see more videos from me. I've got 2 more Sainte-Croix videos over the next 2 days, so if you subscribe with notifications turned on, you will not miss it. The minute it gets uploaded, you will be able to see it. Do leave a comment as well. Questions, comments, constructive criticism, as always, very much appreciated. But that's going to be the end of this one today, and that means that is it from me. So once again, I do thank you very much for watching. See you later.